What's going on, people? This is Shy Harris of the Rebel Society, and this is another episode of The Process. The Process is the ultimate entrepreneur and creative tool guide on how to make money, get clients, market yourself, use social media, all that great stuff in between. So today we have Danica Royster of First Genesis, and I guess we're going to talk a little bit about what she do. Alright, so we're back, and like I said, today we're speaking with Danica Royster, and I guess we'll talk a little bit about your life. What do you actually do, and you out here living your best life.
I'm trying every day.
Yeah, so for the people that don't know you, who are you and what do you do?
Well, as you had mentioned before, I work at First Genesis of Virginia, which is a financial planning firm based here locally in Norfolk,
And I
Virginia.
said First Genesis, right?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, okay.
You didn't say the LLC, but it's cool.
Do you really have to put LLC?
No.
Everybody knows that every business is an LLC.
I feel like some people try to market LLC as making them legitimate, but that doesn't speak to your business or your business acumen.
I see some people do it and I'm like...
Literally, you can go ahead and fill out the paperwork online and turn in the fee.
It costs like $75.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But I digress. We'll talk about that on another real business.
After hours.
Yeah. But as I was saying, I'm a wealth consultant with First Genesis of Virginia, financial planning firm based out of locally Norfolk, Virginia. I've been working here for about since December 2016. Prior to that, I was actually working for a much larger company, but in 2016, me and my father, we decided that we wanted to go the independent route because, you know, it's just so much empowerment as it relates to owning your own business.
True.
So here at our firm, we do cash management, wealth management, investing, financial planning, insurance, basically the whole gamut. We like to think of ourselves as like a holistic financial planning firm, one-stop shop, where our clients are able to come to us and get all of their financial needs met, as well as any other things that they're looking for that might be outside of the realm of direct business with them and their families. It might be, we have business here, we're trying to become like in the real estate game, do things of that nature. So we consider ourselves a one-stop shop for everyone who wants to meet their financial goals and objectives.
So are you pretty much a financial advisor?
I like to consider myself a wealth consultant.
Okay. Alright, so since that's not a career that most people kind of like hop into, like how did you decide that that's what you want to do?
Well, the interesting thing is, it's exactly what you said. When I was in college, I actually wanted to be a marine biologist.
Really?
Really.
I used to want to be a computer engineer, mechanical engineer. I used to want to make weapons, but I was horrible at math.
Yeah, well, my idea was I was going to have a show on the Discovery Channel, Danica and the Dolphins on the Discovery Channel, Triple D.
Really?
I had thought it through, as you can see. But then, when I was in school, I realized that I would have to be in school for like 15 years.
Right.
Because, you know, you're just studying rocks and stuff. But my dad had been in this business, you know, for a while. He's been doing it for 30 years. But I remember we had a serious conversation, like me leading into my junior year of college in regards to what kind of life I want to live and what kind of impact I want to have. And I always wanted to...
It sounded like a very deep conversation.
It was, because I think he was trying to figure out, like, are you going to be one of those people who are still going to be in my house after college? Or are you going to be actually doing a career?
So trying to see what your plan was.
Pretty much. So, I always wanted to impact people's lives in a positive way and meaningful and something that was long lasting. So with that, he was just like, why don't you, you know, come to work with me for a little bit and see how things go? And first I'm like, you know, the dread of, I used to come to your office when I was a kid. I don't want to do this. But come to find out, I did do that with him for a summer, and I enjoyed it. And ironically, I was actually very good at my job, at doing the things he wanted me to do. And then I got accepted into a fellowship program my junior year. And after that, I realized this is the career for me because, you know, one of the biggest things that people stress about are their finances. So if I'm able to basically provide assistance and relieve people from a lot of that stress, then I'm doing exactly what I sought out to do as it relates to making an impact.
Okay. So you mentioned something that I kind of want to hear more about. Okay. You work with your father. You and your father are partners in this, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then your sister also works here.
Yes.
You know, shout out to her and her hair wraps and bonnets, you know. Yeah. So how do y'all make that work with? All of y'all have different personalities from what I've seen.
Yes.
So how does that work out being, working together every day, but also being in the family?
Well, that's one of the questions a lot of people often ask. I would say the first thing is we don't all live together, so that's great.
Right.
So it's like at work, it's work.
Do you and your sister live together?
We do.
Oh,
we have
okay.
separate rooms, thank God.
Ain't nobody think y'all have bunk beds or nothing.
But one of the things.
Now in my head, y'all got bunk beds.
Right.
Yeah.
So it all started when I first started working in this field, which was back in 2012. My dad was actually working in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So I was, I guess you could say, running our office here, which at the time was based in Virginia Beach. So the actual work dynamic was different because all of our conversation and interaction was mostly over the phone or every once in a while where he would be here in Virginia or I would be down there in Atlanta working in that office. But when we all came together back in December 2016, we sat down and we had to have like a family meeting.
About boundaries and stuff?
About boundaries as well as respect and work being work and personal life being personal life.
Right.
Well, you're family, so it all sounds good, but at the same time, sometimes things bleed over, but at the end of the day, I think we're all invested in the common goal of making this business successful. So we had a conversation as, okay, how does that look like to you? How does the flow of that go? Well, I can't work with Kenyatta if I'm giving Kenyatta an attitude. So whatever problems we had, back in our room,
right.
Don't bring that to the office. Or, whatever nitpicky thing that I have with him, it's outside of the realm. The goal here is to stay focused on the business at hand, mm-hmm. and we'll address everything else later. Which, we're working with family, it's a blessing, right. Especially being a Black-owned, successful family business. Mm-hmm. It's something that we take pride in, and it's also something that we all enjoy what we do. Kenyatta's the creative person, so marketing is good for her. Ken, or my dad.
Oh, you call your dad Ken?
At work, I can't be like, my daddy said. What does that sound like on the
could.
phone? No, nah.
Oh, okay.
So with him, it's just like, he's the senior, he's the, HNIC, however you want to call mm-hmm. it. And so he has a seniority, and I would like to think that I'm like, the junior partner, the next up.
Right.
So his experience, he gets to pass down to me. I have Kenyatta, which gives me her marketing expertise to help me build my business, et cetera, et cetera. So we all complement each other. I put him on to certain things, like, when we first started doing the social media thing, right. He was just like, what about like MySpace? And I'm like,
MySpace?
Wow. I was like, that don't exist no more. He's like, and what
you
about
the
Spacebook? I'm like, Spacebook? What's that? God. I mean, this is the same person who calls Chipotle. So, so we all complement each other. We all have our own sets of skills, and one of the good things is I think that where someone is lacking, someone else is there where that's something that they're strong in. So we ultimately are a good team.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So another thing you kind of like help me think about as well is you work in a business that I would consider, how to make this sound not disrespectful, like,
go ahead, say what you gotta say.
It's a business that's like not very glamorous.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you decide to, or what do you normally do to kind of like market your business when everybody else is marketing like very quote unquote glamorous businesses? Mm-hmm. If that makes sense a little bit.
Well, it's interesting that you put it like that because recently I think that this business has been getting a lot more highlights than it has before.
Really?
With the emergence of shows like Ballers and these
True.
Other shows that come on television where someone's like somebody's financial advisor.
True.
So I think if anything, it gives people the perception of, oh, this is a job that anyone can do. Or they might think it's oh, you just deal with people's money all day and you only cater to the astute or the rich, et cetera, et cetera. But to backtrack to your main question, I think particularly for me, I can't speak for other advisors.
And I feel like, not to cut you off, I feel like you do a real good job of like promoting yourself, even though you on social media, showing your best life, but you're also showing like you actually out here putting in work, networking and whatnot. So I feel like you do a good job at it, but I'm just trying to figure out like what's the thought process behind some of the marketing that you do for yourself.
Okay. Well, I think one of the things that you have to get down to is the purpose of this business and why I'm doing it. It all goes back to that core of wanting to assist people and help them. And I think you have to market to speak to those people and speak to those situations. Like, for example, oftentimes on my social media, I'll call out people, I'm looking at the camera, who use GoFundMe.
Yeah, that's kind of bad.
Exactly. But obviously there's a missing piece. So I have to speak to the situations. I often will joke with some clients or incoming prospects about how some people will think that I'm more of like the Grim Reaper, having to talk about death and, what happens if you retire, you don't have enough money, what if you get sick, etc., which are all things that are not glamorous, but they're also things that are reality. So I think that you have to speak to the realities of things that people are facing. People get married, and it's like one of the biggest rifts in most marriages is finances. So having to talk about those things, put out, little spurts and highlight some of my clients hey, they're married and they talk about so-and-so has a certain shopping habit because they like to go certain places. Or the wife who keeps I'm about to put ladies on blast, who keeps the bags in the trunk. So the husband doesn't see.
There's a lot of wives that do that.
Right.
Bags in the house.
Exactly. But
y'all not slick either.
But I have to speak to the realities of things that people are facing, and I think what it does for me is it kind of it separates the persons who are serious about getting on track versus the people who always talk about, oh yeah, I'm gonna get with you one day. Because a lot of people, yourself, in the moment of something, it might not be important right away. You might see something or hear something, and it's like, I know it's something I should be doing. But then there's the other person who is like, it's something I need to be doing, and I'm going to take action on it now.
Right.
So, yeah, this post that I put out there, some people will contact me. Some people, they'll say they will, and then they won't come in, et cetera, et cetera. But I think everything is always going to be about timing as well as content. And to address the part about living my best life, I think that you have to show yourself as being a human being. I don't think that people like to see someone as just being this professional and this is what you do and blah, 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 blah. No, they like to say that, okay, this is someone I can relate to. The funny thing is I actually had got a referral from someone in DC. One of my clients referred me to someone. I have not met this girl yet.
Really? In
person. And we're about to close some business together. But one of the things that helped, other than the referral, which is probably the majority of the reason why she's working with me, is that, I asked her, I was like, do you do social media? Because I make it relatable. We talk about things.
Right.
And I was just like, what's your Instagram? And we added each other. And when we were having one of our final conversations, she noted some of the things on my page. There's things that she likes to do too. And she told me, I like the fact that you almost live the same life as I do, but you're doing the things financially to put you in a position to be able to do those things. And that's where I'm lacking. So I think making yourself relatable is very important as well.
Okay. So speaking of you living your best life, you go on mad trips. You almost perished last year from a trip, but we're not gonna speak on that.
That's okay. You were praying for me. I appreciate the prayer emoji.
Yeah. Sent a lot of prayer emojis.
Yeah.
But so how do you balance, having a personal life, pretty much enjoying your life, but also working extremely hard?
Well, I think
that's like one of my main issues. Like I work a lot, and I might, hang out like 10% of that.
Well, for me personally, I'm a firm believer in work-life balance. One of the first advantages is I'm working in a career that I love. Right. I love what I do. So I'm not just working to work. I'm work because this is what I want to do. The second part of, like you said, the personal life is I also enjoy traveling.
Right.
I enjoy brunches. I enjoy doing various things, but I know
is there a place around here that got bottomless mimosas?
There's a couple places. There's one place that's in Norfolk, I'll tell you off camera, that they have them, but they're not that great to me.
Oh, okay.
But we'll talk.
We're trying to get somebody some shine.
I can't. I'm real. If you're not, I'm not gonna talk about it.
I got it.
But going back to that point, matter
of fact, before you go into best brunch around here.
Oh, who has the best brunch? Why do you have to put me on the spot like that? Who did I just have that was really good? You know who I enjoyed? I went to Riverstone Chop House, and it was like a brunch buffet.
I've heard some people say it.
That was actually pretty good. I enjoyed them.
Is that a place out Suffolk?
It's in Suffolk. And it was like a buffet situation. It was good. Their omelet station they got the crab meat at the omelet station.
Really?
I was excited about that. And 6 different cheeses to choose from. And I'm a cheese person. So I was very excited.
Got really excited about the cheese.
Yeah. So it was actually pretty tasty. I was good with that. I'm trying to think, is there anyone else that I really enjoy?
Been to the brunch house off Shore Drive?
No, I haven't checked them out yet.
Like Laskin.
Oh, I like Bay Local Eatery.
Yeah.
I like them, but you got to get there early. You can't get there at 11. No, you can't get there at 12.
It's going to definitely be flooded.
But their food is delicious. And their mimosa lineup for what you want to do, if you want sorbet. I was like, sorbet is an option? And they were like, yeah, you can do pineapple juice, champagne, and mango sorbet. And I was like, you know what? That sounds interesting. I might try that.
I might have to try that.
And then they have the jumbo one. So if you have like a big party, you know, like the extreme extra like wine glasses.
Yeah.
They serve mimosas out of those.
I might need to get that.
You will be lit.
That sounds pretty great. Okay, back to what we was talking about.
Going back to being able to do those things. So, kind of almost, I put into practice the same things that I tell my clients to do. Because I mean, if you're going to be, you need to be preaching and teaching and doing both, together.
Preaching and teaching.
Yeah. So, most of the things that I want to do, I always put an outline like, okay, for example, I would love, and so far I've been on track every year to take 2 to 3 trips out of the country every year. Trips don't fund themselves.
True.
Plane tickets don't buy themselves. Hotels, Airbnbs, everything has a cost associated with it. So I know that if there's certain places I want to go, certain things I want to do, I know what the cost is to do those things. Now, how am I going to fund them? My job. So what am I doing to keep myself on track with my work? And I think that's one of the things that, other than the ultimate purpose of my job and what I do, I have to have some, selfishness to it. I want to be able to do the things that I want to do.
Right.
So what does that mean? That means working early, getting to work sometimes at 8 a.m., not leaving until 8 o'clock. Having meetings on Saturdays, not starting at like 11 o'clock, but maybe starting at 9 and not ending my weekend until like maybe 2 o'clock. Traveling out of state. I work up in the DMV area a lot. I have clients like in Florida, Michigan, all over. Going to the places, going to meet the people, going to the networking events, and not just saying I'm going to a networking event, but working the event. I want to be almost worse. My dad used to joke when he used to step into a room, people would be like, that's Kim Royster. Do not talk to him. Because he's going to start talking about business and he's going to try to get you to be a client. Correct. Which at that time it was a joke. But, for him, 30 years later, it's now like, no, this is a person who we've seen who's serious.
Right.
And going and I live by this motto, doing what others will not to have what others cannot. So that's kind of what I have to do. Working, putting in the extra hours. There's so many things that happen that I want to go to, things I want to do. I have to tell myself no, because I have to stay on track with what I want to get done. Of course, I'm
But you were
human.
at Broccoli City Fest and Wine Fest.
Right, and guess what? They were both funded.
So extra. That's not what's so extra. Oh my God.
But don't forget, I left Mexico to go to Broccoli City.
So you was on the move for like 3 straight weekends.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But guess what? During the week, I was grinding.
Gotcha.
10 to 15 meetings a week is a lot. Talking on the phone, getting analysis prepared, meeting with people, having meetings that last for 2 hours, and then not necessarily having to sell somebody, but making sure that everything adds up so that when you come in to close the business, the person has no problem saying, all right, sounds good to me. What's next?
Right.
And that takes work, that takes diligence, that also takes you being prepared. I think sometimes a lot of people, and that's not just in my field, I'm sure people in other people see it too. They think it's going to be quick and easy money because they see you doing it. We were just talking about this.
Yeah.
So they see you doing it, so it's like, oh, I can do that too. And I always tell people, if it was that easy, don't you think everyone would be doing it? So you definitely have to stay on track, and you have to hold yourself accountable, but you have to put in the work. Nobody has success overnight. Everyone has pitfalls. Everyone has down moments. I've had my fair share, and there are lessons learned, and I advance from them. And there are mistakes that I won't make again, but it's also things I don't mind sharing with people. So hopefully they don't do the same thing.
Gotcha. Okay. Got a couple more questions.
Okay.
But one of the main things you kind of talked about right then was networking, or going to different networking events and pretty much working your ass off to, make sure y'all got, people coming in and out of your business. To me, I'm horrible at networking events because just walking up to a stranger and just coming up with a conversation out of thin air is the wildest thing ever to me.
Well, is it like, what are you, like, okay, so are you fearful of being the guy who like already has your business cards and you're like, hi, I'm Mr. Harris? Or is it like, you don't like the there's like a fakeness to it a little bit?
It is.
Or an act.
And then when I don't care, it definitely shows in my face.
Well, I think one thing that I found that worked for me is, there's certain things I get invited to, there's certain things I'll go to, and there's certain things I won't. Number one, it has to be something that's interesting. And not every networking opportunity has to be at a networking event. True. So, if like, for example, good example, Wine Fest this past weekend. I went with the Hampton Roads Black Young Professionals. We got a table, and I'm in the chat, I'm on the Facebook page, but I only know like 2 people who were there out of a group of 9.
You actually sat with one of my friends, Satira.
Okay, I know her. Yeah, I know her.
So you know everybody.
No, I don't. But there was a young woman there, and we just started talking about wine and life and just finding some common ground. We're obviously at the same event because we like the same thing. Correct. So just having conversation and getting to know somebody. And then
I think something like that is different than going to a hotel lobby with mad other people and y'all talking about business.
Well, with those events, I take the approach of, okay, we're all here for the intentional purposes of hopefully connecting with somebody and kicking it off in this being a business opportunity. So I guess in a way you do have to put on that it's business hat, but you still can be, I think, personable. Normally when I go to things like that, I'll have my business cards and things, but there's been a couple of times where I didn't bring business cards intentionally. And I would just start conversation with people and, kind of give them the leeway to see if they wanted to do something with me. It was more of like a test to see if it actually worked.
And how did that work out for you?
It actually worked out pretty good because I made people give me their information because I didn't have no cards on me. Okay. Somebody was smart and they were like, but you have LinkedIn, don't you? And I was like, you got me. They're like, you probably have the app. And I was like, I do. So I was like,
what happened? I think I might have deleted it. I feel like that's something I wasn't using, so it's taking up space.
Oh, I use it. Yeah. But for those situations, it's awkward, but at the same time, you have to know everyone's there for the same thing. And the worst someone can tell you is no, or they can give you your card, or they'll take your card. They won't call you, or you won't call them, and you just keep it pushing. But what I do try to do is I'm not just gonna walk up to every single person.
Right.
I'm gonna see like, okay, is there anyone, because they make you wear these name tags and sometimes they make you put what you do up there. Is there somebody in this room who's in a field that I'm familiar with? Like, I'm not gonna go talk to somebody about and act like I'm interested in something and I'm not. Or if I don't know what it is, I'm gonna ask. Like, okay, you work, like sometimes people give you their job title and I know when someone doesn't know what that something means. It's like, oh, either you don't find it interesting or you don't know what it means. So I normally will ask, like, okay, so what exactly does that mean? Like, what do you do there?
Okay. Got you. Follow-up question.
Okay. What
type of person are you in the networking space? Like, if you're at a networking event, there's a couple different people. Like, you have the person that's
ultra
aggressive, talking to everybody like real loud. You got the person that kind of like lingers on. that just when it's a group of people, just the one person that's like
slides in,
yeah,
like walks up with their glass of wine and like
right. That's like somewhat like 20% creepy.
Yeah.
You got the person that's like only come with people that they know and talk to those people. Like, what type of person are you?
Okay, so maybe I'm my own person. I'm not trying to flatter myself.
Yeah, you are.
So normally if there's a networking event and let's say I'm almost 100% sure I'm not going to know someone there, I'll invite someone who I know to come with me. Because it's just like, hey, you'll be like my wingman almost. Right. And plus, we're both in the business of building our businesses. This could be beneficial to you too. So we'll come together and then, you know, do our own thing around the room. I don't like to be ultra aggressive. I think conversation should be easy. So it's nothing wrong with saying, hey, you know, I'm Danica. What brought you out to this? And sometimes I'm just bluntly honest. Like I got the invitation to my Facebook page, and I'm trying to build my business. Right. And I don't recognize any of these people in here. Do you know anyone here? Right. And try to make it light and jokey, because then sometimes people are in the same position as you, and you'll find out like, okay, that's our common ground. Is we both got an invitation on Facebook. And we don't know anyone here. So we're gonna talk to each other. We gonna try to get this together. Right. But I would say I'm that type of person. One of the things that a mentor I had told me, which was a good idea, is to try to find something about the person you can compliment them on, or something you've noticed. Okay. Like for example, I like your shirt today. So I'm gonna say, that's a nice shirt you got. And no sleeveless person would say, hey, thank you, I appreciate that. And I would say, hey, did you get it, around here? And then when I say, oh, I got it at H&M, I'd be like, yeah. I did get this shirt from H&M, actually. That's unfortunate. I don't. I was about to cuss at you. But keep going. But, you start to build from there and then lead into, so what brought you out here? Good. That seems smoother versus, here's my business card. I am a wealth consultant at First Genesis of Virginia. What do you do for a living? Huh, that's interesting. You got your card on you? And that's the person. Card and then move on to the next person. Right. I think that's so annoying. That's so like it reminds me. That's super weird to me. It's super weird, but it's like that person reminds me of like from the Dave Chappelle skits. Remember how like that random robot guy with the robot was show? That's that person. He just shows up out of nowhere. He just does his stint and then he's gone. He showed up in every skit. Too. Exactly. That's that person. The lurker. All right, well, this conversation is getting all over the place. One question that I did want to ask you that I meant to ask you early on is, what are some of the lows that you've had to deal with as far as being an entrepreneur? Everybody usually points out like the highs, like the trips and, the money and, going here and there for your business. But what are some of the lows? Okay, so I've had several. One of the ones that's coming right away. I feel like I just lowered the whole mood with that question. I know, it's like my demeanor like that. Yeah. So I'll bring it back around. Okay. So one of the lows I would have to say is when I first started off in business is sacrifice regarding my time. Like I said, you have to grind, stay focused. So I felt like I was missing out on a lot because I started, I was like 22 years old. You got FOMO? So I had a lot of friends out here doing all these things and I couldn't do them because it's like, I gotta study, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. So do you have FOMO though? Like fear of missing out? No, because I know it's gonna happen again. The best all white party, it's always the best all white party. Yeah, it's gonna happen every other year. Right. And I truly believe that, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If I was meant to be there, I would have been there. Right. And I don't think I'm missing out on much. If I felt that bad, I just go on Instagram, see y'all having a good time, be like, oh, all right. I'm going to recreate it when I have time. Right. We're going to have the best brunch. But so I would say that wasn't necessarily a low, but I would say that was something to sacrifice. One of the lows I would say in my career was also when I was first starting generating business and gaining clientele. So remember I had mentioned when I first started, my dad wasn't here. He was working in Atlanta. Right. So a lot of people had the misconception of, oh, her daddy's helping her. She's getting her start. He's just probably handing her business. You don't know Ken Royster. If you thought that, you don't know him for real. It was basically like, where's your Project 100? Where's your emails? Why aren't you getting out there calling people? That's what I had to do. When I started, I had to go door to door in Berkeley. And I'm like, okay, like, So I remember, like, there was one period of time where I was kind of not taking his direction, and I think that's when my career was at its lowest.
Oh,
because
really?
I had decided that you don't know anything.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do things my own way, and it didn't end up working out well. Look, I took home a paycheck for like $5.23,
Really?
and then that was my wake up call that maybe he knows something.
Yeah.
And also with that was the expectation of thinking that, oh, I'm gonna get in business and everyone who I know is gonna become a client of mine.
Yeah, that never happens.
No, that never happens. But guess what? I thought that's what it was gonna be.
Most people think that, though.
So I started, calling people and getting the runaround, then being straight up being told no, recognizing the reality that my friends were, if not at the same financial situation I was, they were worse because they had more student loan debt than me. So I had to change up my strategy and also the way that I conducted business. Like now, unless you're like out of state, incapacitated, you just got a house full of kids and very hectic schedule, I'm not coming to your house to meet you.
Yeah.
My worst moment, and this is sad, but it makes people laugh, and I can laugh at it now too. There's this lady, and for some reason, I decided I was gonna try cold calling because my manager at the time told me it's something I needed to do. He didn't know anything. So I got this lady on the phone. She's like, "Yeah, I want to buy some insurance," and I was like, "Oh, can you come to the office?" "No, I live blah 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 blah." I was like looking in the GPS, not too far. All right, I'll drive out to meet you, and
to our house.
Yeah, I got most of her information over the phone. I was like, all right, so basically what we need to do is just do the medical stuff, and then you do the signature, and then I'm out. So I called her to the day before to confirm we're good. Got to her house, ringing the doorbell, no answer. Knocking on the door, no answer. Looking in the driveway, I don't see a car. Then all of a sudden, the garage door goes up. She starts backing out of the driveway, and I'm looking like, "Hi," and she's like, "That was today? Oh my goodness, I have someplace I have to be. I'll call you," and drove away. And I was just
and you're just standing there.
And I'm just standing there with my work bag and my computer, and I'm just like, I can't believe that happened. I immediately got in the car. I was fuming. I was so angry. I called my dad, and he was just like, I told him what happened. He was just like, "You got stooped." That's what they call it. You got stooped. Left on the stoop. He's just like, "You learned your lesson?" And I was just like, yeah. He was just like, "Let it be the last time it happens." And I made sure it was the last time it happened. And that, for me, was terrible. Because I was just like, how can you do that to someone? But then I realized that it's the nature of how I was doing business, and also what I was presenting, and also the type of client I was going after. She wasn't a client, she was a customer. And at the end of the day, she's someone who I just called from a list. Right. There's no relationship there, there's no reference, there's no rapport, there's none of the things that would make for someone to want to be a client versus a customer. So if she sees me as just a transaction, it's like going to the grocery store, picking out cereal, and being like, when you get to register, "No, I don't want this anymore," and giving it back to the girl, be like, "You gotta go reshelf that. I'm not gonna do that."
And people do that.
Right, and that's
somebody that used to work in the grocery store. It happens.
Yeah, well, what I would try to do is I would bring it back, like close to the vicinity. Like I would
put it at the end of the register. Like somebody else will get it soon.
Right. That's like the people who take the ice cream out and leave it over the bread.
That would, and people that just have like meat out, it's like they're fucked up individuals.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But those were some career lows for me, and what it did for me though is it was lessons as it relates to how I wanted to conduct business and things that I did not want to go through again. And how do I change up my practice? How do I change up my approach so that those things don't happen again? So, and because I said I would shout him out, I learned those lessons from my dad.
Say his full name so people know.
Kenneth Royster. So,
like once he see this video, he gonna be up here fist pumping and stuff. Like, yeah, I told her that.
Yeah, he's gonna probably like try to share it on his MySpace. But
Black Planet page.
Right. But I think, going back to the family dynamic question you had asked earlier, that's one of the positives, though, when you have someone who has been in business and been successful in it, almost, letting your pride get out of the way so that you become coachable so that you can have the success that they have and actually make it better.
Right.
And me and him have this conversation all the time because my dad started in this business when he was 26. So, I'm around the same age he was when he was first starting his career. And I'm actually have excelled where he was when he started. And the only reason I think I've been in that position is because I've had his guidance, his direction, and as well as he allowed me to fall on my face and learn it for myself versus being the come save a daughter. Yeah. Can't say the other word. Come save a daughter. Come save your child. Like so many other. Captain save your daughter. Whatever. I can't say the other one.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
All right. Cool. So this has been a great conversation. I feel like I've learned a lot about you in this 30 or so minutes.
Okay.
But let people know where they can find you at.
Okay. You can find me on Facebook on our business page, First Genesis of Virginia. Also, our website, www.firstgenesisofvirginia.com. And if you are social media on Instagram, at feeling_so-lady. Yes, my page is private, so I have to, check y'all. But all those are our website, and we're also located off of Virginia Beach Boulevard, Norfolk, Virginia. So I hope that this was a good interview, and I hope people got a lot from it.
Yeah, I feel like people did. So, all right, well, you can find me everywhere, Shy Harris, as well as the Rebel Society XXV on Instagram. Make sure you check out my website. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel because I feel like I'm going to have a lot of content like this that people just really need to hear with dope people like this. I mean, she's not that dope, but
I am.
She's okay.
I'm not extra, though.
That's debatable. But that's pretty much it. So good day, good evening, good night.